Hello friends, welcome to Wambui Weganjo Solutions. My name is Dr. Wambui Weganjo, and as usual I'm here to bring you all things leadership and all things influence. Today I thought it very important that we discuss the lessons we can learn from the leadership of one of the greats. I'd like us to learn some lessons from the leadership of Mama Nomzamo Winnie Madikizela-Mandela. So on April 2nd, 2018, Africa lost one of its greatest leaders and greatest mothers. Mama Winnie, as we called her, was a leader in the struggle for liberation of South Africa. She was an anti-apartheid freedom fighter, she was a feminist, she was an activist, and she was truly a mother of a nation. I send my sincere condolences to her daughters, her extended family, her friends, her political party, the ANC, the South African people, and to the rest of the world. Mama Winnie lived an iconic life. I feel that all the documentaries, movies, biographies, articles, paintings, photographs, this video can only scratch the surface on the kind of life that she lived and the person that she was. I feel truly privileged as a Kenyan woman to have known her and known of her ways during my years of reason. I was privileged to visit her home in Soweto in 2015 when my sister and I went to Johannesburg for a trip. We sat in her house with all the memories, and it was such a great experience to listen to the stories of the liberation from the guides while in that environment. To me, Mama Winnie was a giant. And she's a giant in terms of the type of footprints that she left. She leaves such big footprints that even if you and I will never be able to fill them in, the footprints will always provide for us the path that we must follow. So these are my lessons from the leadership of Mama Winnie. Lesson number 1, courage over everything. As Maya Angelou put it, courage is the most important of all the virtues. For without courage, you cannot practice all the other virtues consistently. Mama Winnie's conviction was a simple one, that the apartheid government could be toppled over and replaced by a free and non-racist state. That's a very sensible conviction. But tell me, what virtue do you require to act on such a conviction if not courage itself? And so she chose courage. She spoke back to the apartheid government. She, like most African women, called a spade and never a big spoon. No, Mama Winnie was a foot soldier in this liberation struggle, meaning she was at the forefront every day, daily facing the cruelty and the extreme violence that was the apartheid government. It's also true what they say, that we should be careful about which enemies we choose, or rather, which enemies choose us, because with some enemies, you end up fighting them in the very same way that they fight you. And in Mama Winnie's case, no matter what they did to her, she would still get up. She would get up again, she would care, she would organize, she would write, and she would hold up that fist in the sky and punch up the sky for freedom. And she blatantly and persistently did this. The thing about courage also in the political and activist space is it has a twofold outcome. When you're courageous, the first thing that happens to you is your courage is met by an exaggerated use of force by the opposing side. In this case, it was by the apartheid government. Mama Winnie faced assault, she was imprisoned, she was tortured, she was banished, she was spied on, they spread propaganda about her. And then the second thing happens because of your courage. Your audacity becomes your protector. Your courage becomes your shield. Because Mama Winnie was unbowed, they reached a point where they could no longer use this type of direct force on her. Not because they decided to use a softer approach or to be more peaceful, no. It's because they were afraid of her. They simply were afraid of her. They're afraid of her, afraid of what she represented. And Mama Winnie understood this. There was a time she was the only one who could hold up that fist in that country without facing exile, without facing imprisonment. And what did she do? She consistently and persistently raised her fist in the sky for freedom. And what was the outcome of that? It was President Nelson Mandela. It was the Free State of South Africa, which is a big brother to other African nations now. It was her political party, the ANC. It was a global awakening. The whole world was asking ourselves, is this right? Are we on the right side of this story? Are we part of the solution? Or shall we uphold the status quo? Lesson number 2, grassroots or go home. Mama Winnie was a political leader, and as a political leader, she had to solidify her base, which she did. She had a constituency that was solid of young people and of women. She may have been misrepresented in the media, she may have been misrepresented in the political decision-making boardrooms, but on the ground, Mama Winnie was powerful. And this is because she visited people in their homes, they visited her in her homes, she mourned with them, she counseled families that had lost loved ones, she gave speeches in township gatherings. Her public struggle became very relatable to the people in her constituency. So they saw her struggle as their struggle too. So even when that time when all the political parties of the day were trying to compete with each other, who can disown her fastest and hardest, she still proceeded to win her parliamentary seat. After her political career, she still remained with very, very deep grassroots connections, such that she was one of the people who foresaw the formation of the EFF. She was the freedom fighter who stood with the Fees Must Fall students, and she was also the freedom fighter we saw hugging Caster Semenya. Lesson number 3 is an ugly lesson. The lesson is that as an African woman leader, Mama Winnie didn't only face racism, but she also had to face sexism. So the constant betrayal that marked her life and her life story had a lot to do with coming from within as it did from coming from without. When they could not destroy Mama Winnie physically, they sought to destroy her socially and politically. And to do this, they pulled on racist and patriarchal strings. As an African woman myself, as a black African woman myself, I must be extremely disappointed, but I must not be surprised. None of us are immune to this. It's very effective and they do it every time. Whenever you see a woman leader's personal life being scrutinized, the way that they usually do is to turn her, to label her either the unattainable Virgin Mary as to whom we're going to latch on all our impossible hopes and dreams, or to villainize her into a one-dimensional Madonna who we can now lay on all our inadequacies as a society and as people, or to just disappear her altogether. It's effective, it's sad, and they do it every single time. However, something fantastic happened, and I'm in awe and I salute all the young men and women of South Africa who, upon the passing of Mama Winnie, would not let the last narrative about her be one of villain or invisible. I salute you who all wrote the articles, who did the Twitter threads, who went on television, who went on the radio, who organized community conversations, who wore the all black and the Duke, who wrote true and honest dedications for her. You completely upheld the correct narrative, and we are so grateful for you. And we thank you for doing that, and thank you for teaching us how to be very careful, to be very alert and very aware when they're trying to steal your narrative from you, and to take it back and to write it yourselves and to write it in the correct way, making sure that it represents our version of events. Rest now, Mama Winnie. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything that you did for the world and for us, and we can take it from here. I thank you, and I encourage you to have this continue to have this kind of conversation. I'm going to put in the description box some articles and documentaries and different sources of information that you can read into if you'd like to do that. And of course, if you'd love to share this video with your friends or someone else, I would love it if you would do that. Please do. I'll see you on the next video next week. Thanks guys, bye.